Hi, I'm Jonathan Ballou, and I'd like to talk to you guys about powder skiing. Powder skiing is some of my favorite types of skiing. I mean, I love skiing groomers, I love skiing bumps, but powder, there's just something very real about it. The freedom, the flowingness, the effortlessness, and the athleticism that skiing wide open powder runs can give somebody, there's just no other feeling like it, and it's just something very, very real. On groomed runs with modern skis, we're trying to get the ski to edge and cut the snow perfectly. We're looking at very precise edge angles and even edge angles and early pressure and power out of the top of the turn. That's very scientific. That's very precise way of skiing. Yeah, powder ain't that. Powder is about athleticism. It's about flow. It's about adaptability. It's about the unexpected. I mean, your feet are in the snow, not on top of it. You can't see what's under there. Stuff's going to hit you. Different densities are going to hit you, and you're going to have to react. And that reaction creates an athletic response. And in that's where the fun is. That fun is in the unexpected and adapting to it. When the skis fly out from under you and you athletically recover, and you're like, I nailed it. I got it. That's what powder skiing is about. It is the art, not the science, of being playful with the mountain environment and truly reacting inside the snow, in it, not on top of it. Let's first debunk a couple powder myths. Skiing in powder is not fundamentally different than skiing anywhere else. We don't lean back. We don't have to dramatically narrow our stance. And we don't have to increase lots of up and down movement to create great powder skiing. What we do need to do is adapt good, sound fundamentals to the environment. So we're going to go through a few basic concepts to adapt our own techniques to make them more applicable to a powder environment. First of all, we have to develop the ability to become adaptable and movable. We have to have a great balance between mobility, the ability to move things underneath the body, and stability, so that the things we're moving are stable and the things we're moving them against, that is the upper body, are also stable. How we do this from a body perspective is we have to engage what's called the posterior chain. That's the chain of muscles that starts in the front of your leg but runs up the back of your leg into your back and into your core. If we get those engaged, we're not only powerful but we're also mobile. These are the muscles that you would use like when you're doing a squat. So the first exercise we can do to activate that, because this is really important, is just to do some basic squats. You can do this in your living room or you can do this in ski boots as demonstrated. Standing on the hill, preferably standing facing slightly down the hill so your heels are lifted, try to find an athletic stance where you're standing over your whole foot, heel and ball of the foot, particularly weight into the heel of the foot. Next, we have to start activating the muscles in the posterior chain. That starts the muscle called your tibialis anterior, or your shin muscle. It's the muscle that lifts the top of your foot to the top of your boot. So as you're going to do a squat here, feet are parallel. I want you to lift the top of your feet to the top of your boots. You should feel your shins firmly press against the front of your boots and your heels drive into the heel pockets. Slowly lower yourself, feeling your glutes engage or your bum muscles, the back of your legs or your hamstrings, and your core engage until your upper legs or your femurs, your thighs, are parallel to the slope. From the bottom of your squat, you're going to slowly extend, raising yourself, firing the same muscles, the glutes, the core, keeping your shin firmly pressed against the front of the boot and the heel engaged in the heel pocket. So what this is doing is you're engaging certain muscles that that keep certain parts stable. You want the boot, what's in the boot, the foot, the ankle, the shin, to be really stable while you're skiing. Because as you hit stuff in the snow, that's going to move you around. But you want your foot, ankle, and shin to move as a unit. It also stabilizes your core. But let's look at what's being mobile in this exercise. Your knee and your hip joint are moving a lot. That's going to give you all the control you need, so when the skis move underneath you, you have strength in the ankles, strength in the boot, and strength in the core, while mobility in the platform moving underneath you to adapt to the terrain. The next thing we're going to do is put that into motion. So standing on 2 flat skis, with your poles in the ground for stability, find yourself in an athletic posture. Again, heels into the heel pocket of the boot. Shin muscles engaged. You can do this if you'd like by lifting the tops of your feet to the tops of your boot. This is just an exercise though. You don't actually want to ski that way that often. The goal here is to keep the shin muscle engaged so that the shin is up against the front of the boot. From there, you're going to move your feet back and forth in unison and see what kind of range you have moving it under a stable upper body without releasing the shin from the front of the boot or removing your weight from the heel. Next, try that same exercise without poles in the ground. It gets a little more difficult because you don't have the poles to stabilize your body. So you're going to have to engage your core, which is, stomach muscles, lower abs, transverse abs, and your glutes even more to get them to move. Next is a really fun exercise you can do with your buddy here. With a partner, your favorite ski buddy, this is a great reciprocal exercise to get some real reactive feeling going on. So far, everything we've done has been proactive, meaning you've done it yourself. But what we really want to get to is where it becomes reactive and athletic. You're going to get somebody to sit in front of you and grab the tips of your skis. And what they're going to do is they're going to push and pull the skis back and forth while you try to keep your upper body, hips, pelvis, all the way up to your shoulders and arms stable on top of the moving platform underneath. You're looking for the feeling of the shin muscle engaged, so the shin never leaves the front of the boot, and the heel firmly in the heel pocket. So again, just like the squat, all the movement comes out of the knees and hips under a stable pelvis and upper body. Now that we have some stability in certain parts of the body, particularly in the boots and in the core, and some mobility in the hips and knees, we can start applying that to some turning. To really be playful and artful in powder, we have to change our concept of turn shape. You look up at a groomed slope and you've just carved an arc down and you see these 2 perfect arcs in the snow. Well, that's a 2-dimensional picture. That's not really what we do when we ski powder. We ski in the snow, not on top of it. So our arc goes a very different way. While you do have a lateral arc, that means the skis go out and come back, you also have a vertical arc, where the skis go down and come up. That's a whole lot of arcs together if you put those 2 together. So if you really want great flow in powder, we need to make our turn shape thinner, that is more down the hill and more elongated, so that the skis will continue to track through the powder. And we can do that with speed control because we get the speed control from not only the arc that goes this way, but the arc that goes down and up. Since the down and up piece is the piece that's least familiar to people who are new to powder, we're going to explore that one without any turning. The first skiing exercise we'll do is in a traverse. Find yourself a piece of snow that's untracked, preferably reasonably deep powder, boot deep or greater, and you're going to go across that, just going in a traverse. And as you're going in a traverse, you're going to bounce up and down. Remember your athletic posture. You're going to do this with your heels in the heel pocket, with your shins against the front of the boots, your shin muscles engaged, your core and your glutes engaged. And as you feel the skis bounce, notice they don't just move up and down. They move a little bit in an arc. So as they go down, the tips drop and they go down through an arc. And as they come back up, the tips come up. As they go back down, the tips drop and the heels or tails come up. So in this sense, the ski is now traveling through a vertical arc in the snow. Get used to that feeling. Really be aware of when the ski comes back at you, up out of the snow and the tips coming up, and get really used to that feeling of when the tips go down and the skis dive into the snow. Those are triggers for adding some turning mechanics. Once you're comfortable with that, having done that in both directions a few times, and you're really aware of the skis travel through an arc vertically, we're going to change that from a traverse to moving down the hill and start adding some turns. So find a gentle pitch. The more snow you have, the steeper you're going to need. Point yourself straight down the hill and give yourself 4 or 5 bounces where you feel the skis come up out of the snow and then dive the tips back down. Again, maintaining your stance, heels in the heel pockets, shins against the front of the boots, core and glutes engaged. After you've done 4 or 5, we'll add some turning mechanics. Add a pull touch, add a little bit of tipping of the skis, and add a little bit of weight shift. You'll feel the skis start to turn and start to arc. They'll be thin turns, but they will definitely have a bit of bounce and lateral movement in the turn. The timing that you're looking for here is that as you feel the tips dive, that's time to start tipping the skis. Right after you tip the skis, it's time to start moving weight to the outside ski, and that happens very quickly, right after you feel the tips dive, which is why it's so important that in the traverse, you get that feeling of the direction the ski is going vertically. Once you have a good rhythm and flow, take it to something steeper. The steeper and the faster you go, the more fun you're going to have. When skiing powder, speed is your friend. Have fun flailing through the fluffy stuff.
Cool.
If you are interested in a projected team hat, neck buff, ski ties, or any other projected merchandise, then please visit the Projected online shop, www.projectedproductions.com. Also be sure to like the Projected Productions Facebook page to keep up to date with Projected's How to Ski episodes, new project movies, and official Projected merchandise. Thank you for your support.